Welcome to episode 6 of Tailgate Update. Let's crack open a six-pack, huh? All right. First up, we got Henry Ruggs. Got sentenced this week. Julie, you got more for us?
I sure do. With our little true crime section here, he got sentenced for 3 to 10 years. Not quite sure how that works in his area. If they have like good time. Not every state does that, so we'll see. It'll be somewhere between there. Some people, and no shade on this because I feel it too, but I've been hearing two reactions to this news. And one is, oh, he's got an advantage as a football player. If he wasn't one, then he would have so much more time. Which seems a little unfair to me because the average sentence countrywide is 2 to 10 years. So he's like right on average, like the exact same. I think we can all agree that that seems low for taking for having a DUI with manslaughter. I don't think that's so much. I think a lot of people feel like that's not enough, but he still is on par with what everyone else does. So like fair, although not fair. And then also some people are counting down the days until Ruggs can get back in the NFL, and that just feels a little uncomfortable to me. He's got to serve his time. He killed someone, and so maybe we can not try to rush him back to the NFL for now and just kind of let his family heal and all those things. Just to kind of like rehash, he drove drunk in November of 2021 with speeds up to 156 miles per hour, and he killed a young woman and her dog who passed away in a car that was burning up. They died in a fiery car. It was Miss Tina Tinton, and the dog was Max. Also, Henry Ruggs hurt himself and his fiance and the mother of his child. So nobody was really left unscathed. Obviously, Tina and Max got the worst of it, but the consequences were very obvious from right away that everybody was negatively impacted. At sentencing, I'm a true crime fanatic, and I end up seeing a lot of sentencing, and it can go a lot of different ways. The impact statements can go a lot of different ways. But in this case, I was sort of heartened by it. I think a lot of other people were as well because of it was so classy. I mean, we've had some cases recently where people are still trying to make excuses for their behavior. Lori Vallow, who aren't apologizing for what they did, haven't said anything, are asking for easier prison sentences or like to go to nicer prisons. And so like to actually see Ruggs apologize, he said he was sincerely sorry and that he had no excuses. And he actually looked sincere, which is a nice change. But what I think was really like the classy part about this whole situation was Tina's mom. Brought a little tear to my eye, actually. She didn't come to the trial herself. I think probably it was too hard, but she had another family member read her statement from a letter, and it was just really beautiful and heartwarming. She spoke about missing her daughter and never being able to tell her how much the family loved her and was proud of her, couldn't hug her ever again or kiss her forehead. And I just can't imagine. I can't fathom it. But then she had some really beautiful quotes. We pray that Henry Ruggs is blessed with the opportunity to be able to watch his beautiful daughter grow into the amazing woman that she can be. Tina's mom hopes that the terrible accident inspires positive change in the world. And the part that really, really got me, we pray that we all take away the importance of looking out for one another, remembering everyone we meet as another human's loved one. So the sort of grace, forgiveness, love that she showed to Henry, even after taking her daughter's life. I mean, can you be a classier woman. I mean, it just really speaks to that family and how it just felt really beautiful. And then for him to apologize and then to actually seem quite genuine, the combination, it was really lovely. Again, you don't see it very often, and you almost never. And I'm not gonna blame victims for feeling the way that they do, but you almost never see someone with such a forgiving attitude, and I was just really, really impressed. So, a little positive at the end. Hopefully, this does create positive change in the world, like Tina's mom wanted. So, yeah, some beautiful words from a very strong woman.
Yeah, that's handling that better than I think I would if something happened to one of my girls. So
Yeah.
moving on a little bit here to a little less serious true crime, Ryan. White Sox saga. They keep on rolling, man. They can't get out of their own way. Every week it's something else, something stupid. This one also involves TA. So what do you got for us, dog?
So this past week, Tim Anderson, Timmy Night Night, just received a 6-game suspension for his role in the brawl that took place between the Guardians and the White Sox last week. Jose Ramirez, who sent him to bed without breakfast or without dinner and lunch and snacks, he got a 3-game suspension, and the closer Emmanuel Clase was suspended 1 game. I don't know why. It's just pretty much like don't do that again type of suspension.
Must have got a abs in there, huh?
Maybe he blinked at Tim Anderson. I don't know. So pretty much on top of that, on top of going to bed, Tim Anderson got slapped straight, I guess. Yasmani Grandal was on an off day. I don't know how true the story is. The story came out just after the suspension. He was on an off day. It was just before the All-Star break. He wasn't playing, so he asked, can I go early, go home see my family before the All-Star break? Tim Anderson didn't take too kindly to that and said, F him. If he doesn't want to be here, I'll pay for his flight. Grandal then walked over to Tim Anderson, who was in the tub, and slapped the taste out of his mouth. So on top of getting sent to bed on live TV, he was slapped silly by his own teammate for running his lips.
I will say,
he's not a family man, is what we learned from this conversation.
Bad luck getting smacked up by not only the opponent but your own teammate. But I will say, at least he was trying to resemble some sort of leadership in that clubhouse, which is like, hey, why? What? He's trying to be like, hey, you need to be here with the team. Like, we're still playing just because it's an off day. Like, Yasmani Grandal isn't going to go play in the All-Star game. What's he need to go home early for? Like, you have all week.
Time and place.
I don't want to give him a gold star for being an asshole again. You know what I mean? Like,
that's being a good teammate. That's being a team player. Like, you will stick with the team. Just because it's an off day doesn't mean that we're not playing baseball today. You need to be here.
Well, Caleb's feeling very forgiving, so
I'm not feeling forgiving. I'm just saying that I would say the same shit if I was Tim Anderson.
Well, I'm glad he got his mouth smacked, because somebody needs to tell him something, because he's off the rails right now. So I'm gonna disagree. Wasn't he sitting in the hot tub? Like, is that really like the seat of champions?
He was
right in his mouth from the hot tub.
Yeah, he was in the tub taking a nice soak, and Grandal walked over and slapped the taste out of his mouth.
Grandal, isn't it? Like, why are you going up and slapping him? Like, you can't handle hearing the truth? Is that the problem?
Keep your mouth shut.
Getting called out by because you want to be like, what is Grant? Go look at Grandal's numbers. Like, the dude has got like a negative 1.2 WAR this year. Like, the dude has been the worst catcher in the league. and you want to go home early, like how about you go hit the pin?
I hear you. I think I'm not very responsive to hearing anything from Tim Anderson because he's a clown right now, but I get your point.
Comes first. Family comes first, especially to aging players like Grandal.
That's what the All-Star break's for, especially when you're not playing in it, man. Like
He wasn't playing the day before either.
isn't going to be busy playing in the home run derby or anything. Yeah, I know, but the All-Star break is like a scheduled time off. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's
scheduled day off that day too.
huh?
Yeah, a scheduled day off that day too.
Yeah, but just because it's you're not playing that day doesn't mean you aren't.
Yeah.
Go look at the player. They're in the dugout with the team.
Hey, he just requested to go home early. He didn't say, "Hey, I don't want to be here." He just said, "Hey, can I leave early?" Tim Anderson should have went to him.
And he exhibited some real wonderful leadership when he was field.
Listen, Anderson shouldn't be talking, running his lips about another person's family life. All right, shouldn't be doing that while he's sitting in a tub soaking.
All right, your suspension having ass.
That was before all this, though. That's out after all this. This is from the. I'm thinking it's that Middleton guy that was traded to the Yankees. So I just think that Grandal should have been DFA'd. Like if he's that big of an issue in the clubhouse and like you're assaulting people because somebody said something you didn't like that's childish, man.
DFA Grandal. I think they should DFA Tim Anderson's jaw for being so weak.
Well, I think they would, but
he's got a snooze button on his chin.
I don't know, man.
The whole thing just is crazy, but it's a White Sox thing.
Very White Sox. It's
very on brand.
Chaotic. It's discombobulated.
It's very 2020s Chicago White Sox.
It's just brutal, man. Thank God they won that World Series in 05. Otherwise, they would have absolutely nothing to hang on to.
That's not a lot to hang on. Anyway,
there's a little, but they're hanging on. All right, a little more friendly in a not so friendly town. Philadelphia Phillies pitcher Michael Lorenzo throws a no. Only his second start after being traded from Detroit. Dude has a 1.06 ERA with Philly. That's over 17 innings pitched. Like, dude's got 17 innings pitched, essentially giving up 2 runs the entire time. And he throws a no. Dude's career trajectory is super weird. Always known as being the jacked relief pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds. Can also swing the stick a little bit. I know pitchers don't hit no more, but yeah, crazy. Definitely thought his career was dead in the water once he went to Detroit, but had a random revival this year, and luckily for him, he got traded to Philly in a playoff race, and he's definitely making the most of it. So pretty cool to see for a guy that thought was kind of done.
Yeah, it's a pretty good pickup too for Philly, considering the fact that Atlanta's kind of struggling right now. Perfect time to get that type of production from a new addition at the deadline. It's kind of reminiscent of what Jordan Montgomery did for the Cardinals last year. Yeah. Not very good where he was, gets traded, and now he's almost lights out. And it was lights out the other night.
Much, didn't it?
And it's special too because Lorenzen did lose his father a number of years ago. Kind of like Dallas Braden throwing the perfect game on Mother's Day. Wasn't there to see it. It kind of sucks. It's a tearjerker to think about that and to watch that happen. Good for him, and I hope he continues his success in Philly. As much as I don't really care for Philly, but I mean, a good playoff race between Philly and Atlanta is good for baseball, in my opinion. Because when you think about Atlanta and you think about Philly, you think about the 2000s and up to 2011, that area. It was just Philly and Atlanta back and forth. And I'd love to see that again, and we're starting to see it again, and that's great for baseball.
Yeah, really cool moment. speaking of his dad passing, you can see his mom and I don't know if his girlfriend or wife in the stands. They were just bawling their eyes out once he did it. It was really cool to see. How can you not be romantic about baseball, right? And speaking of baseball, we got one to give away.
Yeah, we sure
Pete
do.
Rose,
We sure
Pete
do.
Rose in baseball. What's it say on it? Sorry, I bet on baseball or something.
Yeah, sorry, I bet on baseball. Signed by
That's
Pete Rose. Yep.
very Pete Rose. Last week for you to enter your chance to win. Promo code is FORKO42. DM that to at the Forkball Twitter page, and you will be selected on August 21st. So again, you're coming up on a week left to enter, and hopefully you're the lucky guy or gal.
Ball is amazing. Pete Rose is so cool. It's like quintessential Pete Rose on a ball. And you can have it by just doing DMing the promo code FORKO42. And and so that's an absolute steal. So might make sure to catch my article about Pete Rose from literally the moment that he touched the earth for the first time to where he's at today, which is absolutely wild. If you've seen his new significant other, she's great, beautiful, much younger. So he's really out there enjoying life right now. So like definitely make sure to look at theforkball.com and find my Pete Rose article and subscribe and like our channel. Well, like the channel, subscribe to the Forkball on YouTube.
Bingo bango. All right, we're done with football. Preseason football. Finally here. Finally here. We are in the thick of it. Friday had
Are you talking about football or football? Because also the Premier League had their first game.
Football.
Football.
Yesterday was their first game. And we had a absolute stunner. He is like the Messi of the Premier League, and Caleb is going to tell us more about him.
That's saying a lot, Julie. That's big words coming from you.
Well, I'm not saying that he's the same. I'm just saying that Messi is absolutely making a mess out of the US, and Erling is getting a similar amount of
little hype.
Yeah, he's getting a similar amount of goals in the Premier League, and so I'm definitely not saying he's Messi status, but I am saying that he is making a mess out of the Premier League, just like Messi is in the US.
Well, that Messi is definitely embarrassing the
entire US.
That's pretty rough. It's cool to see, but it's also pretty rough. It shows exactly where we are in the grand scheme of things, which is hopefully an eye opener for
basically the only person on the field the entire time. It's like playing with a bunch of toddlers, kind of. Yeah.
But that'll make us better, right? Manchester City versus Burnley. Erling Haaland scores what is called a brace. Mm-hmm. That is 2 goals, one short of a hat trick, 2 goals. Very impressive nonetheless. They win 3-0. Sounds like Burnley's not very good. But when you have the next Messi, apparently, what can you do?
Yeah. Is Burnley not that good, or is Erling that amazing? And it was really impressive. It was sort of back-to-back goals, not immediately, but they were pretty close together. And if you've watched a lot of Premier League, you know that there's hardly ever any goals. And so when you have 3 and 2 done by the same person, like, very impressive. Definitely looking forward to seeing where he's going. This seems like the beginning of a really great career trajectory and arch, and so like gonna follow him from now on and make sure we catch the greatness early on. But it was really cool to see his brace yesterday. Very uncharacteristic of the league to get one so quickly. So and he's only 23, so ton of time to develop into something great. So yeah, exciting things in the Premier League.
Well, moving on to American football,
Football.
which started last week with the Hall of Fame game between Jets and Browns.
Yes.
Yes. This week, everybody else playing. Had a couple games on Friday. Had the rest of them being played today and tomorrow.
And some on Thursday. You also
Some on,
have Thursday Magic.
yep. Can't forget Thursday Night Football.
No.
Thursday Night Football.
Texas and the Patriots and the Vikings and the Seahawks. If you're a Seahawk fan like myself, y'all know that was a really exciting game for us. Set a really awesome tone for the season. Our defense is eating people like snacks already. Drew Lock is Drew Lock, so I mean, I had very low expectations anyways, but it was great to see some of the people who will be starting the season and kind of like the cohesion. We knew that defense was a weakness for us, and they have beefed it all the way up. And so it'll be great to see. And Texas and the Patriots, I mean, Zappy was Zappy. Thank God he was there because it was a little bit of a reprieve from some of the other play. It was a little bit rough, but we have seen that there's a few rookies who are really standing out on the Patriots side. So great things coming from there as well.
Patriots, Texans. I'm sorry, we're not stating just how terrible that game was. I mean, that was like watching paint dry. Now Stroud,
yeah, start. That was really hard to watch. And I think like people pump him up so much because he was really big, obviously, in college football. And so he's supposed to come here and just like do the same thing. And he didn't. He choked.
His line's terrible. Like the dude looked like Justin Fields last year. Snap the ball and immediately running for his life. Pressure up the middle is the worst for a quarterback, and that's all he's getting. So not the best showing, but it is preseason.
Yeah, hopefully. And I think a lot of it would just be nerves because a lot of America is looking at him. Are you going to be able to do it? College football and the NFL are not the same. The rules are different. Some of the structures are different. Some of the plays and all these things. And so let's just give him a minute. But it was not reassuring. I try not to overreact to performances like some of our not rookie quarterbacks who I feel like they should be able to do a little bit better, but preseason is preseason, and so I try not to put too much into it, but it was a little bit disconcerting.
You hear that, Packer fans? Preseason's preseason, so your quarterback for 46 yards and made one decent throw doesn't mean he's a Hall of Famer, so just relax a little bit, all right?
Yeah, I'm glad. He's barely been on the gridiron, so So the thing is that we don't even really know what he's gonna do. So yeah, chill out. It's probably a good thing that he didn't do a CJ Stroud because like they would have been freaking out in Green Bay. But yeah, we're gonna need to see a little bit more before we start singing his praises. Take a breather. It was good to see the Bengals, Joe Burrow kind of running down the field. So that shows his injury recovery is going very well, probably.
No break.
So like literally jogging, and so that's a great sign.
Speaking of the Bengals, by the way, they rested 21 of their 22 players on Friday. So congrats, Jordan Love, for carving up the second and third team defense, I suppose.
Gotta get that last jab in.
I digress. Sorry. I gotta let it go.
No, you
don't. Back when Jimmy G got paid by San Francisco, Niners fans were piping him up for beating a Rams team that was fielding their third stringers in week 17. So,
that's because he's beautiful.
Same man.
But I don't know if y'all caught the Steelers Buccaneers or not, but I was really intrigued because I wanted to see if well, I think we've all been kind of following the quarterback battle in Florida. And so to see Baker Mayfield, I've always been kind of a fan of him, and he stood up for himself, something that we encourage a lot of players to do, and he got some backlash for it. But I was really hoping that his career wouldn't go down the toilet once he did like have make a stand, because it might not encourage other people to do the same thing. And I think it's okay. So it was good to see that he is not totally failing. Again, it is the preseason, but we saw good things, and it doesn't really seem like Trask is going to steal the job if we were just basing it off on last night's game. Of course, the Steelers got a lot of good press because their quarterback showed up to play. They clearly have some talent there. It wasn't Rudolph. Yeah, he deserved the helmet. Anyway, yeah, so we got to see a lot of different talent, and then also catching the Broncos Cardinals game last night. It was wild to see Russell Wilson out so long. I may or may not have been yelling at him for most of the time. He made some good passes. He's not as active on the run, but that makes sense because he's 34 and he's on his, he's a dad of 3, almost 4 now. So that's a lot of work.
There's a lot of work.
Yeah. Sierra's a lot, she's a beautiful lady, so he's lucky. But he was there for all but 5 minutes of the second half, almost a full half of the game, or the second quarter. So yeah, almost half of the first half. And Sean Payton was kind of watching. The O-line seemed to be asleep, so Russell Wilson got sacked way more than he probably should have for his age. But he did show some promise. Again, a reassuring thing for any of us who are Seahawks fans who still love Russell Wilson because he's the best. And the Cardinals were there, I guess. Don't really know what was happening because they were a non-factor. I guess they had a new uniform, but even I didn't notice. So, yep.
Yeah, helmet, uniform's kind of me, but
I thought it was the same one as last year, so that shows how good I'm doing here. It just really wasn't that important when we're seeing Russell Wilson on the other side of the ball. So, and Sean Payton, I lived in New Orleans for almost 10 years, and to see him in the Broncos gear was almost as weird as seeing Russell Wilson in it last year. It's unnerving to see him in anything other than black and gold. So it's already been an exciting season, and we're heading into more great games for the weekend. We'll have lots of games next week. Great things coming. There's even rumors that Aaron Rodgers is going to get out in the gridiron at some point instead of just looking like a coach on the sidelines. So that'll be interesting to see. He seems to be confused about what his role is on the team. He seems to think it's the 1920s NFL when people were players and coaches at the same time. So maybe if he gets on, dressed up and on the gridiron, he'll actually remember what his job is. Or maybe he'll need another darkness retreat before the season starts. Who knows?
A season-long darkness retreat would be great.
Yeah, he just comes out for the games and then he pops back into his hole when he's done. That would be nice. But I don't think any of us are going to get that lucky. So, anything else that y'all have noticed from the preseason, guys? I know I kind of monopolized that a bit, but I do love my preseason games. So,
you think maybe Sean Payton's maybe a little rusty with the coaching in preseason? Because
I think it's only been 1 year, right?
Yeah, it's only been a year.
Knowing your franchise quarterback is getting hit as much as Russell Wilson did. Of course, I didn't watch the game, so I'm taking your word for it, Julie. if he's getting hit as much as you say he was, what in the hell was he doing out on the field still?
Well, you got to think they're installing a totally new offense. I think they're
Yeah,
trying to Russell Wilson in a little bit from what it apparently was let go to last year. Um, I mean, you know how hard it is for teams when they're installing something completely different, totally new culture, new game plans, new personnel, new coaching staff. Like everything's new there. So
I
I,
was surprised that
let's
he was out so long, and I was anxious because what heaven forbid he gets injured out there during a preseason game. The concern was there, but I believe one of the broadcasters mentioned it. It was a great point. Sean Payton really doesn't have any tape with Russell Wilson. He has never coached him before. He doesn't with the new plays that their new mentality on the team, the new things that they're going to try this year. He really doesn't have a lot to base on what that's going to look off. Like, so this, that half of the game could be what fuels the practices for the rest of the preseason. And now he has an idea about what it's going to look like heading into the season. So I do get it because he wanted to have a frame of reference for what's happening. Was I surprised? Yes. Was I scared? Yeah, because every time he crumpled to the ground, I'm like, oh my god, something's gonna break. But he was okay. He was fine. He just got a few more concussions, but he's used to those. And so I get it. I get what Sean Payton was going for, but he did not look like a happy camper. So he's not thrilled by something. And it's probably the fact that his star quarterback kept eating the grass. So,
probably it's a
Yeah.
fine in the preseason. Like you don't want your guys to never play, but you don't want them to play too much and get hurt. And like it's always scary when you have these young guys that are like doing everything they possibly can to make the team on the other
yeah.
side of the ball. And then you have Russell Wilson, who's like, I'm just trying to get my reps in and learn the offense and not get hurt.
And
So
apparently, with an O line that isn't worried about making the team because
um,
they weren't there. Yeah, they're like, oh wait, am I supposed to hold him? Oh, I tried though, but he got around me though, and now you're in the dirt. So
Coach, I'm moving my feet. Come on, coach. I'm doing something.
I touched it. I got close to him, and I stopped him for a couple seconds, but then he just kind of like went around the side. So what am I supposed to do about that?
Coach, I touched him. I blew at him. Like I
told him
made Russell Wilson eat the dirt. But I tried though. I'm like, okay, clearly, yeah, it was bad. It was bad. It was reminiscent of all the years that the Seahawks never gave him an O-line and he just continuously ate the dirt. It felt a little bit too much like that.
I enjoyed those years.
Nobody was asking you about if you enjoyed those years. Thanks for not sharing.
Aaron Donald enjoyed those years too.
Yeah, so that's what we have now. I mean, a lot of coaches do put out their like Andy Reid has a thing. He always makes Mahomes go out there. I wasn't surprised. I was okay. I was a little surprised that he was out there, but I was surprised he was out there so long. I think
Right.
what it was for me.
in comparison, I mean, you think like Fields today only saw 2 series, 3 for 3, 2 tutties.
Got it.
Yeah, he
Jordan
did.
Love, Jordan Love only threw 10 passes. And then, like Anthony Richardson today, pretty short leash. CJ Stroud, super short leash. I think that they're really scared about him getting hurt behind that line.
Mhm.
Will Levis and Malik Willis kind of split the first half today. So it is a little bit weird, but I think
I
that like
trust Peyton. I
installing
trust both of them, frankly. They're both older than like two of the second stringers put together. So like Peyton's probably three of them. So they have the experience. So I'm just gonna let them cook because there are not two more people in the league who have like that breadth of experience right now with so many great players retiring, but he's definitely one of the most experienced quarterbacks out there right now. And Sean Payton is Sean Payton. So they have a plan. It made me nervous though.
Yeah, I'm
So,
sure as the preseason goes on, probably play a little bit less. I mean, especially that last week before week one. So it is a little bit
Right.
weird. Preseason games, like I still have to get used to that. That there's not four anymore.
mhm.
It's
But
weird.
week one is almost here.
We're almost there.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Speaking of week one almost being here, you guys want to preview a little bit?
Preview,
Ryan
yeah.
does.
Little
Oh, Ryan does. No, nobody else wants to.
No,
just
I'm
right.
just saying you have all the great deets, and so yeah,
And
you're gonna
Not really great beats, guys. It's
lead
just
us away, lead us to the
okay.
promised
I'll lead
land.
you to the
Okay.
promised land.
we're looking at just a little taste here. We're looking at previewing um, every division leading into the season. Correct?
Right. Two divisions per. Um, sorry, not two divisions, but
Division per conference.
two
Yeah.
different. Yeah, one per conference. Over the next couple weeks till I believe it'll be the last weekend before the season starts, right?
Okay. Yeah. So who
Yeah.
we got starting off with, Ryan?
So this week we're going to start off with both West divisions.
Okay.
Um, I let's start with the AFC West. I'm pretty sure we all know what that's going to look like. Um, at least who's going to be in one, like, who's going
Yeah,
to be
we
the one
know
spot.
that.
We know who's going to be there. As long as Big Red Andy Reid's over in Kansas City and
Yep.
Patrick Kermit Mahomes is there. I mean,
With his wife Brittany
yeah, and yeah, his family drama he's got going over there.
and his brother, who is going to be a true crime segment coming up shortly here.
Thank you. Yes, has to
Hopefully.
be a true crime segment.
I can't wait.
So based on what I kind of look at with the roster breakdown, I kind of give the Chiefs a B plus roster. Their offensive line always is great. Mahomes is a top five quarterback, obviously due to his ability to. He just does the weirdest things that just end up looking great. Like I've never seen a quarterback do the things he does because it's frowned upon. Like some of the stuff he does is just frowned upon, and it just oh, okay, it worked, and it goes for 50 yards.
No better improv quarterback than Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say I hate him, but like I hate Patrick Mahomes because of the fact he does that and gets away with it, and people hype him for it, and that drives me insane because I've grown up watching quarterbacks like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Matt Stafford, guys like that who play the position at a high level, intellectually high level, high performance, and never did that stuff. And Mahomes over here rolling out to the right and just underhands it to his receiver who's 5 yards on the field. Yeah. And he goes for 50 yards for a touchdown. It drives me insane.
Everyone is a critic, and although I agree with you on that, it is nice to see someone who is trailblazing their own path and sort of resetting what it can mean to be a quarterback, so that people don't have to play by the book. I think in a lot of different ways, legacy media, sports reporting, younger people are getting away with playing less by the older book, and I'm here for it. But he's annoying.
He's annoying when it comes to that. That's mostly my. I don't like how much hype he gets for being a backyard quarterback.
But he's fantastic at it too.
I don't want to label him as a backyard quarterback. He has a strong arm.
Okay. You watch other guys try to do what he does, and they throw interceptions or fumble the ball, or it just doesn't work. But for some reason, Mahomes, it just works, and I don't know what kind of voodoo magic he's got going on there, but
he's definitely like rubbing some rabbit's feet in the huddle before every play.
Something goofy going on.
And so because of that, he's gonna have a really good running back. I can't remember the guy's name off the top. Who's that?
The running back?
Yeah.
Isaiah Pacheco?
Yes. He's going to be – I think he's going to break out again this year. He was very good running the ball. And even in the passing game, he was very good.
Very good.
The stretch last year to the Super Bowl. Of course, like I said, the offense line great as always. Going to be perfect for Mahomes and Pacheco. You know, and it doesn't matter who Mahomes has as receivers. I mean, we've seen him have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, and then whoever they want to throw out there.
I mean,
And
Juju was his best receiver last year, and look what he did.
right.
Yeah.
So of course, their defense is what gives them the downgrade. Their defense has,
They
yeah,
don't even really need that much of a defense because they'll be able to make up all the points on the outside.
that's
you put 35 points up a game, I guess. Right.
That's the downside of the Chiefs is their defense. Their secondary has always been, at least in the Mahomes era, has always been the question mark. They can get after the quarterback. Chris Jones is one of the best at getting after the quarterback, of course.
If he's not holding out.
Yeah. So you have that situation with the Chiefs, which is why I put them at B+, but they're going to win the division unless the Chargers, who I have going to be a number 2 in the division.
They're such self-sabotagers. Like, you're like, the Chargers will be great, and then they just always find a way to be awful.
I agree.
They find ways to lose that nobody else has ever done.
Yeah, much like Mahomes finding new ways to, to create magic, they do the exact opposite. And I have never been a fan of Herbert and his spindly little arms, little tiny bone, the diameter of his wrist is like the size of and he just out here and he's annoying, and the Chargers have no fans. Please let me know if they're wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're all paid. So and I don't even have beef with the Chargers. I'm just generally annoyed by their complete ability to fail relentlessly and creatively.
I had beef with the Chargers.
So they could be second, they could be fourth, they could be third, they could be anything. They can be anything they put their mind to, but they usually use that to fail. So we'll have to see.
I mean, I give their roster a. Sorry about that, Caleb. Go ahead.
They always get up for Chiefs games, so it's like if
you
win one of those, and then you go 9-6 the rest of the way. I mean, you got a chance at. Because anymore, it feels like the Chiefs are just like, we just got to get to the postseason and we're going to do our thing.
Mm-hmm.
It almost feels like a Patriots 2000 to 2019 situation.
They just look bored.
Yes.
Just get to the playoffs is all we need.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Kansas City's been like for the last 5 years. At least.
Imagine them if they actually tried all 17 games.
Right. I've seen Chiefs fans on Twitter go crazy because of the fact that they play down to competition.
Yeah.
I've seen a majority of Chiefs fans on Twitter just do that. And I don't get to watch closely for Chiefs games because I'm not paying outrageous prices for season ticket. So, and living in New York, I have limited selection of what I could see. All I could see is really highlights. But I don't believe that they play down to the competition as bad as they do, like Chiefs fans say, until I watched them play the Rams last year, who had Perkins at quarterback and no Aaron Donald for half the game, no Cooper Kupp, and they only beat him by 16 points. It should have been like a 45-10 blowout.
Is that, I get it, because there's always the attitude that every time you go out on the field, you do it to win, but at some point, is that just not a smart decision?
You don't want to open up the playbook too much for teams that you're going to beat. You don't want to pull out all the stops. That stuff's like,
yeah,
take some of your energy for the people that you need and for the postseason, because you're going to get to the Super Bowl again, and you can't do that if your players are all like banged up and stuff because they're trying to like show out at games where they don't have to.
Yeah. So I have the Chargers at a B-, and for good reason.
That's forgiving.
Yeah, I mean, I was debating with a C+. Who knows what's going to happen to Eckler? Is he going to hold out? What's he going to do? The Broncos, I think they just showed us.
Tread carefully here.
I got them at a C plus for a roster rating, and I got them in third place in the division. I think with Sean Payton, they'll get better as the year goes on.
Slow start.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Jerry Jeudy drop a pass before catching another one, and it was like, are you serious? We saw P run in with no O-line trying to make it through. It feels a little bit like throwing a bunch of random players together in a room and seeing what sticks each and every single play. And like a lot of mistakes didn't have to be like Judy Butterfingers, like just bring it down a notch. Like, you know what you're doing. Why does it always look like you don't? When they need them the most. And so I don't know, it just never really feels like they're fully organized or fully put together. But I'm really praying because we got Sean Payton, and I know everybody's like, oh, Russell Wilson, he did so bad last year. Like, he's gonna be in the Hall of Fame for the things that he did for all the rest of his career. So chill out a little bit. And I still think he has the potential to be great. He has so much experience, so much wisdom, so much skills. Having a coach that has his back, that knows how to cultivate great quarterbacks, fingers crossed. I'm anxious about it too.
Yeah, so that leaves Vegas. I have them at a D roster rating.
Also forgiving.
What a
I mean, I have right now through my prediction, I have Chiefs going 12-5. That's probably the low end.
By that.
I got the Chargers 11-6, Denver 8-9, and Vegas at 6-11.
That's optimistic.
I think 6-11 for Vegas that's probably the high end, if I had to guess.
I'm gonna go high end. I've heard reports from training camp that Jimmy G looks like he's never played a game before. I heard he's not.
He has Devontae Adams.
I've been seeing things through Twitter from
and
training.
He's made out of glass, so even if he does pull it together, because I think he has the potential to, because he's been in the league forever and is a good average quarterback. But what happens when he gets an injury in week 2 and is out for the rest of the season?
Or misses a good chunk of the season, right?
Yeah.
Good question.
And what, Devontae Adams is going to do it all? He's going to throw, catch, and...
Listen, we better stop the slander on Jimmy GQ. We got a Jimmy lover that will watch the show.
I'm not coming for Jimmy. I already pointed out that he's beautiful.
He's a gorgeous man.
Yeah.
I will say that with confidence. He's gorgeous.
Yeah.
That's a good fella for sure.
And he just doesn't crack with age. He still looks as good as he did when he first came. So that in itself is impressive. But one of the reasons why he might look so good is because he spent so much time off the field during the season. So he has time to get all of his facials or whatever. And it's not his fault. Some people are just more injury prone than others, and that is okay. But Vegas is just not in a place where they can risk having a quarterback who's made out of glass with the roster that they have. He's a great person to have, I think, but not as your main quarterback that you're relying on. That is a scary, scary place to be. Just ask the 49ers.
They have like 6 players on that team, and then it's like a bunch of B squad guys.
Jimmy,
I'm thinking about too. Oh, well, if Jacobs comes back, that's
think about, they got Josh McDaniels as their coach. Like that ain't doing them no favors either. So.
No, it sure ain't.
So Jimmy, he perfected Kyle Shanahan's offense.
He did.
It's a run heavy West Coast offense. It's pretty much a variation of Kyle's dad's offense and Bill Walsh's offense from the 80s Niners teams.
West Coast.
Oh, yeah, West Coast. It's a very good offense. Mm-hmm. Jimmy perfected it. So I can understand why Niners fans who will watch this and be upset with us can, justify Jimmy's status as being a high paid quarterback.
But I mean, you could put me in there and I'd still be able to do something.
I said this before. The easiest job in the NFL is being a 49ers quarterback. That system is very easy to perfect.
Yeah.
But only certain ones have. Brock Purdy, he did well last year.
Brock Purdy is Mr. Irrelevant, who went out there and created. I mean, he's not a regular quarterback. I don't think a regular Mr. Irrelevant would have been able to do that. There's some kind of magic in there. Whatever the Raiders got taken from them went in Brock Purdy.
Yeah, and
just ripped the ball, man. That's all he did. He wasn't afraid.
CJ Beathard even looked good for a while there. He looked good for a couple of games.
He did.
Maybe Russell Wilson should go there to get a career revival so people will get off his.
Who knows what Brock Purdy will look like post-surgery, but
yeah,
that guy, he did have a handful of drop interceptions that should be alarming, a handful of bad throws, but overall, he did what he was supposed to. He did exactly what Jimmy G has done for the last 5 years. Well, sorry, not 5 years, like 3.5. Since he was a couple. But he did exactly what Jimmy did when they went to the Super Bowl in 2019. Yeah. He did exactly what Jimmy did when they went to the NFC Championship game in 2021. It's an easy system to perfect. But the fact is, they haven't found the right guy pre-Jimmy G. I mean, Kaepernick was decent for 2 years. And then they were kind of stuck in that Blaine Gabbert, mud hole, right?
Yeah.
But
no, I don't know how they're as good as they are because their team is like a hot mess and has been for a while. So I'm not sure how they managed to rise out of the mud to create what they do. But
Kyle Shanahan, baby, that's it.
It's Kyle. Kyle is
and the Bosa and Nick Bosa.
Kyle Shanahan is a top 5 play caller in the league.
I mean, look at every running. They could stick me back there, running back, and I'd probably run for 100 yards too. It's
you're the running back. I'm the quarterback. We got this.
Perfect, spacing and everything. It's just
that's how the Niners get by on having low end talent or mid level talent be their quarterback. And that's not a knock. That's not a knock. That's not a knock on the Niners. As much as I don't like the Niners being a Rams fan,
it's annoying. It's
not a knock.
It's much like Patrick Mahomes being so good at what he does. It's annoying that they are able to do what they do.
It's frustrating
as a Seahawks fan, it's frustrating.
It's frustrating as a Rams fan because every time they play the Rams, we know what's going to happen, but yet Wade Phillips, Raheem Morris, Brandon Staley all didn't know what to do.
But when we actually beat them, there is nothing sweeter.
Making their fans go home crying from SoFi Stadium was the best feeling in the world. Oh, it was so good. But that's enough. That's enough. That's enough for the Niners. Actually, we have to talk about the Niners because we're talking about
any wine, any bonus I've gotten at Christmas.
We have to talk about the Niners still, though, because we have to talk about the NFC West.
Yep.
To wrap up our season preview for the West divisions. I got the Niners probably winning the division.
Yeah.
Their quarterback situation with Purdy coming back from surgery, we don't know what he's going to look like. I've heard he's looking decent in training camp with arm strength wise. Yeah. But they lost a couple pieces in the defense, the number 1 defense from last season. Lost a couple pieces in the secondary. They still have the wannabe WWE wrestler George Kittle playing tight end, who's very good in space. Very hard to tackle.
I love it though. He always gives me such good writing material with his dramatic moves every season.
He's just a blast, and he's a fan, so I love that.
I relate to him because I'm a wrestling fan too, so I relate to him.
I just feel like him and Travis Kelce are cut from the same cloth.
Pretty much.
Different sides of town, but same cloth.
Not my favorite cloth. Not my favorite cloth at all, but yes.
So I have the Niners roster rating as a B, mostly because of the quarterback situation. Don't know what that's going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of players in the secondary. Don't know what that's going to look like for their defense.
Good O-line, front seven.
The O-line, not sure. about that. Trent Williams is getting older.
Stuff.
So you're not sure how that's going to look. And they
Yeah.
have Deebo Samuel as their number one receiver, which is fine. It's very fine. He's a very good receiver, very good in space, very fast, very versatile. But then you have Ayuk, and then you drop to Jennings. Is it Jennings? Is their third?
I don't even know. Let's be honest. How do they do it? They have like
exactly
4 people on their team, much like
Look,
they got McCaffrey, who's going to take a lot of pressure off the quarterback situation, anyways.
Until he gets injured.
You're going to have Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey all on the field at the same time.
Right.
And they can all do the same shit.
Right.
Who do you focus on? You can't stop everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they run perfect offense. They run the scheme perfect. You can't stop perfectly ran offense. You just can't.
Right. But there's going to be a couple games where they get stifled like they did last year.
Against the Bears, I remember that.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, we don't even know. We're not sure who it is.
Yeah, there's gonna be a couple games where they get stifled. It always happens every year to the Niners. Again, not knocking them, so don't come at me with your you don't like the Niners. I don't like the Niners, but I'll give them respect and I'll give them props. They're very good at what they do until the playoffs. So I go 11-6. They'll probably win the division unless they have a catastrophic season where they just
could. Because of the quarterback situation being so up in the air. That could be the thing that ends them. If Brock Purdy's shoulder doesn't come out right, if Trey Lance he gets re-injured or doesn't heal right.
They're stuck with what, Sam Darnold?
Yeah, Sam Darnold, who sees ghosts on and off the field because he thinks George Kittle's house is haunted, which is probably true because it's George Kittle. So like you're dealing with a lot there. So like it's gonna depend on. It could go very badly. I hope it does, but it probably won't.
Yeah,
start at some point.
Yeah.
Niners can never be healthy either. That's the other thing too. They're never healthy.
They deal with a healthy handful of injuries every year.
Every year.
And when they go to the Super Bowl the year after, they're usually like depleted with injuries.
Yeah, it's weird.
If my memory serves me correct, the last 2 times I went to the Super Bowl, they were like
that's why their postseason is so rough because everybody's all torn up.
Right.
Which doesn't happen to the Chiefs, which makes them smart. And the 49ers not smart.
Chiefs got that black magic going on over there. Mahomes was walking like he didn't have a leg on his right side.
I'm telling you, it was a shot.
It's definitely a shot. He's got a nice elixir over there, you know. So, second place in the NFC West, I have Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I won't fight you on that. I thought you were going to pick your own team, but you might be right on this one.
What's that, Caleb?
They'll probably be the top wild card spot.
More than likely, if they build on what they had last season.
Replicate their Legion of Boom that I'm pointing at here with their defense that they have beefed all the way up. They're like, we need some help over here. And then they did for once. And so their defense is looking golden. And so they showed out on Thursday, a little rough in the beginning, but they're looking good. They have drafted, signed players from different areas to get a good team. Geno Smith, I have faith. He is in a position he never thought he would be in a place that no one ever. He's been underestimated forever. So I really feel like now that it's his time to shine, he is not going to go down unless he is like literally has a leg snapped on the field. We have great wide receivers. I mean, do I even have to say it? DK and Lockett, and now they're bringing on Jigba.
Yeah, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, and he was already incredible. his performance was A1 with the preseason game. They have some good tight ends. A little concerning on the running back front, with Kenneth Walker the third being injured. The Seahawks do use their running backs a lot, so that is not a position that they want to lose people at, and they always get beat up throughout the season. So there's not as much backup as I would have liked to see, even though people were like, oh, they picked Zach too high. Why do they need another running back after just getting Kenneth Walker the third? And it's like, because they get used a lot and they get beat up a lot. That's why.
Walker was hurt last year too, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Everybody was hurt. I mean, everybody gets trashed. Every running back they never make it out without an injury. But
yeah.
Fingers crossed. I'm not seeing any position where it's really alarming, where there's super obvious holes. I do believe in Geno Smith, even though I had to write an article about if he was married or not, and I had to spend like 3 hours because he's not married, but everybody said he was married. It was crazy. They had a love story that he supposedly had that wasn't even true. They had photos of women who were jailbait the year that they supposedly got married. I mean, it was the most wild thing ever. So I need him to tell me whether or not he's married. But anyway, Geno Smith is amazing. I see it happening. So this could be a really great year for us. And I say that with some trepidation because as a Seahawks fan, I've gotten my heart broken many a time. And when they took Russell Wilson away from me, I had my first panic attack in several years, and I've never felt the same since. But this year could be a great year.
Yeah.
It'll be great, Julie.
That was great insight, Julie. Thank you for that. Pretty much I gave them a B minus. I had them in a C plus, but then you kind of talked me into a B minus because of the fact that they revamped the defense, which is great. Not great for the Rams. I prefer if every team in the West was garbage except for the Rams.
Well, you were lucky with the Cardinals because they are garbage.
I guaranteed last place this year. So I gave them a B minus. You talked me into it. Geno has to replicate what he did last year in order for me to change my mind during the season of what they will be.
I feel you. I think we're all concerned about that, but I just have faith.
So see, as of right now, I have the Seahawks sitting at 9-8. Second place, but that also depends on how things go for the Rams. I have the Rams sitting in third place.
Well, that's obvious.
Beat up last year. Beat to hell last year. Oh my goodness, they beat up. They had 12
combos. Scrambled up like a pair of eggs.
Stafford had concussion, bruised spinal cord. That's I guess is everything's all good now. He's all set.
That's not how that works medically, but sure.
Okay. Donald's back, full strength. Kupp injured right now with a hamstring, but he's been jogging around, doing some, running. He's going to be progressing towards week 1, which is great news. Demarcus Robinson came over from Baltimore, late offseason signing, looking really good in camp. Rams front office addressed what they needed to in the draft, got edge rushing, most importantly, offensive line. Logan Bruss will be coming back off of a torn ACL. Just drafted another guard. I think it was Avila from TCU. Hasn't allowed a sack in 2 years.
Yeah.
In a very tough conference.
It'll be great to see Kupp back. I'm clearly not a Rams fan, but I am a fan of human beings, and he's a great guy, and he has some really fantastic play, and it was hard to see him injured in for so long, and so it'll be really, really great to see him back out there killing it.
Right, yeah, that was frustrating last year to not see Cooper Kupp out there. because of a errant pass from an XFL level talent of John Wolford, who was in Tampa Bay, by the way.
Yes, he is, and he did not do well.
No, he did not.
I mean, we knew that was gonna happen.
Exactly. It's funny thing. I was scrolling through Twitter last night, and I saw Tampa Bay fans saying we should give John Wolford the start over Baker Mayfield.
Oh,
why does the NFL love to hate Baker Mayfield? What did Baker ever do to you?
If you're Baker and you lose a job to Kyle Trask, that's bad enough. But if you lose it to freaking John Wolford, hang it up, dude. Hang it up.
Why is it so popular to hate this man? He made a stand to a team that gave it all up for someone who's a massage monster, which says a lot about them. And then he took a stand. He had his opinions. And now everybody seems intent on like punishing him for having the nerve to do it. He is not that bad. He led the Browns to the first like postseason in forever. Whose cornflakes did he piss in?
He also got them their first playoff win since like the 80s.
Eating the shit out of Steelers, by the way.
He did good work for the Rams. He was thrown in a really crazy scenario, and he still like performed well. I mean, he played like 3 days after flying in, right? Like it was a crazy
like 5 days.
Yeah, it's very fast. He had some great plays, and now everybody's trying to rain on his parade again.
Yeah, like I saw it last night. I started laughing. And I was like, you have no idea what you're talking about if you think John Wolford is an NFL starting quarterback.
Twitter after dark is wild, man.
It's crazy. So,
I bet Baker's like, God, this guy's following me from the Rams, and he wasn't good there, and now he's here again.
I took this guy's job.
When I heard that they were going to be on the same team again, I was like, what is in the water? Like this. Are they like a package deal? Like,
so they interviewed
you. I've heard, I've seen things from Rams camp, that Stetson Bennett is progressing very well for a 25-year-old rookie.
I love that part.
That's uncalled for. That's your quarterback, man. Come on.
He's as old as I am. Come on.
Yeah, well.
He's very good. He's very talented.
Age is a funny thing.
Age is very funny. It can play tricks on your mind too.
25, but isn't there another player who's like 28 who went back to college football? Like, I mean,
I don't
know how all the rules work, but it feels like you can be in college football for about 12 years and just getting your bachelor's.
Well, Bennett had an extra year of eligibility because of the COVID year, so
yeah.
He would have been out in 4 and been in the league like a normal 24-year-old. But
he went JUCO too, didn't he? At first, like he originally went to Georgia, then he went JUCO,
maybe,
and then up to a bigger program, and then back to Georgia. I think it's a pretty cool story, but obviously
he had a heck of a ride. 2-time national champ. He balled out in those national championship games too.
He's
not a Levis, and so for that you can be grateful.
Yes, Last year and the year before, I was very skeptical going into the season, looking at our quarterback depth chart. Just for the sheer fact that Bryce Perkins, and John Wolford were the backups to Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
Then my fears really came true when Stafford almost died. Really frustrated me to watch John Wolford get Cooper Kupp hurt. And then watching Bryce Perkins not be able to complete a pass more than 20 yards on the field. And then watching the Rams lose a game to Seattle because Wolford can't do the same.
It was rough. I'm not a Rams fan, obviously, but it was hard to watch the train wreck that was happening on my TV.
Yeah.
But it is funny that he's 25 and he's going to be.
I'm a little more confident now. Both, like I said, bolstered the offensive line. They got some edge rushers, got some help next to Aaron Donald. They just went out and got John Johnson on a 1-year deal to play safety next to Jordan Fuller. LaDainian Tomlinson's nephew will probably be playing the slot corner, which is perfect for a guy that's 5'10", I think. He looks very small for a.
We talk about size so much that it just irks me because we have so many players who are short. I mean, Russell Wilson can't see above the line of scrimmage. He never has been able to, and they still can create magic. You do not have to be 6'5" and a basketball player in college to like somehow, be great. We have so many players who are 5'10", 5'11", who have done so well that I just don't think it should be as much of a talking point as it is.
It's a talking point because when you get into the NFL and you're 5'10", and you go up against a DK Metcalf, who is a giant,
Yeah.
that guy. And
if you made it to the NFL when you are 5'10", it's because you're really, really good and so good that you're going to be able to take on a DK, and you're an underdog because people don't believe in you. And so you're going to show up every game like it is your last game and come in with that hot intensity that somebody who's a few inches taller may not feel like they have to. So I think it provides a healthy chip on the shoulder. You will get CTE and die sooner because you're so small and you're going to get beat up all of the time.
Jeez.
But like, I don't, it's a weakness in a way, but sort of a strength in another.
Yeah, well, I hear what you're saying, Julie. I'm a short guy, so I've been looked down upon my entire life because I'm short.
I'm also with someone that you would maybe call a short king, but I mean, perfect for me, but
So the knock on Tomlinson would be the fact that he's not going to be able to get those jump ball wars 50-50 balls against DK Metcalf. That's why I say he's probably going to play slot corner, because a one corner like a Jalen Ramsey is going to have to do that, go up there and get it, knock it away, where a DK would probably manhandle him in a situation like that.
Man,
that's
manhandle anybody. DK can manhandle a basketball player.
He can also manhandle a toilet, so.
In a cart.
So it's looking nice for the Rams secondary. Durant's looking like he's primed for a giant leap from year 1 to year 2. Kendricks is looking fairly decent. The only holes and question marks, really, the question mark is for the offense, how will the offensive line hold up? They bolstered it in the draft, like I said, but we don't know what we haven't seen. You know what I mean? And then the defense, the secondary, is going to be a huge issue because we don't know what we haven't seen. So
I hear you.
So right now I have the Rams at 9-8, same as Seattle, but that's a high end. That's basing on everything going very, very well.
Optimism 11 finest.
6-11 at the floor for me, for the Rams. Still puts them in third place.
That's really low. I would go for somewhere in the middle, but I hear you.
I have them at 6-11 as a low because injuries still happen. 9-8 is fairly non-optimistic because last year they had all those injuries. Setting offensive line injuries, record-setting offensive line combinations, won 5 games, but they were in at least 10 games. They could have won at least 8 or 9 games last year with all them injuries, which is why I have them at 9-8. And then you have Arizona, who...
You know what, guys? You know what I smell? I smell a dumpster fire, and it's in Arizona.
The name Kyler Murray?
Kyler Murray is going to be looked upon as the firefighter who will have to put out that fire.
Who's injured, by the way?
He's
coming recovering from
a torn ACL.
He better ball out whenever he comes back.
So, Mr. Kyler Murray, Mr. Moneybags, is going to have to step up his game.
Do a lot of homework.
Start watching film and a little less Call of Duty.
Yeah, because he has no one.
I feel like I did Arizona dirty. I gave them an F for roster rating, last place in the division, and I have them at 2-15.
Oh.
I have no faith in Arizona at all. I do not like what I see. I do not like what I see. I do not like what their future looks like. The front office looks like it doesn't even care. Fans are asking the ownership to sell the team.
Oh my
It's just
god, that stunned a little bit, and I just made the dumpster fire joke. Ouch.
I think that they did really well in the draft in terms of setting them. They let teams overpay for their draft slots, and they have a couple extra next year. But yeah, this current roster is it's rough to say the
yeah,
least.
it's I mean they'll probably be fighting for Williams in the draft.
Probably.
More than likely. Will they take him? I don't think they'll take Caleb. Strictly for the fact that they paid Kyler Murray, that they're stuck with him for a while.
Yeah.
And I think he's not a bad quarterback at all.
Kyler, are you talking about?
Yeah.
He's not terrible, but he's not great. He's not worth what
He's
they're
got
paying him.
no tools. They gave him I mean, he's got like this tool set that you give to a 2-year-old that's made out of plastic on the field. That's what he's got
I don't know.
out there.
Do you remember when Kyler Murray? Sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Eckerd's like he had a lot of pieces a couple years ago, and he pissed it away.
Yeah. I
You
think
remember
a lot of
they
that
started-
comes from sort of like a sense of immaturity and like personal
Right.
growth that he's had to do, but I think he's got the skills.
Do you remember when a Kyler Murray led team went 8-0 and then finished with an absolute atrocious second half record?
Yeah, unfortunately, they're in my division, so I have to see them more than I would.
And
Got destroyed.
Usually, he got destroyed in the playoffs by the eventual Super Bowl champs. So
Embarrassed.
yeah, it looked like he didn't want to show up. It looked like he didn't know what he was doing.
Look like you can't watch any game film.
It looked like he was Johnny Manziel out there, not watching game film.
0.0 hours on the iPad.
I don't know. Okay,
Zero.
I think that he could. He's getting a little older now, getting a little bit more sense, and hopefully like being a little bit more dedicated, less of a hothead, yelling at his teammates, which I was not impressed by. Like hopefully, I think he's the least of their problems on that entire team.
At this current, I would agree, but that's not saying much.
No.
Yeah, this current roster, like you said, Julie, is a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
He's coming off of injury, so it's up in the air anyways what he's going to do this year and how the team will be. That pretty much he won't be back anyways until November.
Yeah.
I think because he tore his ACL late in the year, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and that's pretty much why I had them at 2-15.
McCoy's kind of a mixed bag. People were freaking out. I think I mentioned it last week. It was really hilarious when he threw the ball and it hit the guy in the back of the head. But he did okay last night. I don't think he's the worst either, but I really don't think that their quarterback position is like their biggest hole. So even if they had someone much better, but I don't think like he's that bad. I think McCoy is okay. So
I'm a big Colt McCoy supporter. I've always liked him, even when he was in Texas, in college. I just don't see him leading this roster. I mean, if it was the 2021 roster, probably get him to 6 wins without Kyler. But this year, no.
I think Kyle Shanahan would have a hard time making this roster do something.
Probably.
If you remember correctly, Kyle Shanahan had a losing record for the first couple of years he was a coach.
Yeah.
In San Francisco. So you're not wrong. Maybe next year when Kyler gets back fully healthy, he might be a little bit more mature with a different head coach than Cliff Kingsbury, who seems to be very overly schematic with his play calling.
How did he even stay in this position as long as he did? That is a question I have.
Connections. I would assume connections.
It certainly wasn't from raw talent.
Didn't he coach Kyler in college too? Or didn't you recruit Kyler in college or something like that?
I think that Lincoln Riley had Kyler.
There was something that had Kingsbury and Kyler connected in college. That's why people were making a big deal of it.
Texas Tech.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I don't know if it was Kingsbury's offense that was messing with Kyler, but he would look great at certain times, and then he would look like absolute garbage at certain times.
I think that it's just, offenses usually have the upper hand against defenses early on,
Mm-hmm.
but once the defense adapts, like the offense has to adapt. And then I think that's where Kyler struggles, and that's where Kingsbury struggled, is kind of like one trick pony.
Mhm.
Once team tape on you, how do you adjust? And I don't think that they were good enough to do that on the fly.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
partly
No,
Kyler's not putting the time in, and partly because I don't think Kingsbury is an NFL coach. I think he's a gimmicky college coach.
Yeah.
I think the same about Lincoln Riley. I think they're the exact same guys.
he's
Lincoln Riley,
almost a Nick Saban sort of coach. Got to the NFL, didn't do very good, and had to go back.
That
yeah,
happens a lot,
it
It
does.
does. It does. Yeah.
but he also sucks. So
In the NFL, you're talking about grown men with families that have lived life, like have been in the league forever, versus kids just coming out of high school. Very easy to get them to buy into stuff, and you always have a rotating window of 1 to 4 years with those players as
Right.
a well. So it's very easy to kind of revamp your culture or to maintain your culture, whatever you need to do in college versus
mhm. Yeah.
Saban's done a hell of a job doing that at Alabama.
very good job.
He's done.
I'm down here. I listen to SEC radio network because that's all I have down here.
Yeah.
People, they're crazy. They like, we need Saban out of there. We need new blood. And I'm like, you guys are freaking crazy, dude. It's so weird.
He has run that
I mean,
program.
people are hating on Belichick, so they have no respect for wisdom.
They don't. Like, gotta have the new fresh guy in there.
I don't know. This is a little off topic, but do you think maybe Belichick's outstayed his welcome in New England?
I think he's probably got a couple more years. I think what probably needs to happen is he needs to relinquish his GM roles and just be a coach.
Can you
Because
imagine being
did well in like 6 years. He's had terrible drafts for the past 6 7 years.
Well, I've found a newfound appreciation for Bill Belichick that I never had before. I saw a video yesterday, a couple days ago, of him dressing up in a Halloween costume to attend a Randy Moss and players
yes.
Halloween party. He dressed up like a pirate,
Yeah. NFL
and
films.
he was smiling. So I newfound
He
appreciation for
has so
Belichick.
much respect for the history of the game, and I do too. And so I really appreciate that about him. I cannot fathom that people are like, when somebody's struggling a little bit, they're like, oh, forget about his entire legacy. He's like, shut up.
The dude
Have
has
some respect for the game, okay? Put some respect on his name. Bring it down a notch.
part of the Belichick problem too is he employs guys like Steve Belichick.
Yeah.
It was the OC last year. Explain to me why.
You know what it feels like? It feels like John Gotti. He started bringing in all his family to like his into his family into the mob, and they were not good at it. And he wanted to be surrounded by family because he thought he could trust them, they would have his back and everything, and it totally completely backfired. And then we saw how that ended up. So I think like Belichick is also a John Gotti in the sense that he's like, oh, they're family. Oh, I know them, or they're in some, for whatever reason, he keeps around people that make him feel comfortable, not because they're good. And look, do you want to end up like the Teflon Don? So that's how it feels like when I see Steve out there. I would love to see Steve try to be an OC anywhere else.
Oh, dude, seriously. Yeah, stop being a GM, stop hiring your family, and I think that the Patriots will end up being okay.
We all hope that they're not okay, but they will.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and a lot of his coaching tree is awful. And I just think, who you surround yourself with is a lot of your success. So, yeah, that's his downfall if I had to point it out.
Yeah. You also have nobody to carry on that legacy culture either. Like Brady did it for 20 years, no matter who was coming in or out. Like you always had Brady on the field, like helping to create that.
Mhm.
Brady probably was half the culture anyway. So
Yeah.
it's a transitional period.
But I mean, is that not always been the case where there's like these amazing coaches that like get this reputation and they have an era of sorts and a team and then it stops?
It happens, yeah, all the
Yeah.
time.
I
Yeah.
feel like that's just what they're gonna be.
I mean, Greg Popovich is going through the same thing in San Antonio.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
he had a Belichick like era that now kind of in a Belichick like era.
Yeah.
So
And even like Lombardi, who is like the god of football, like had his downturn, but he had one of the best eras of football ever. So
Yep.
it's kind of, like nobody is above the the tides of change.
Nope.
well, John Madden did it right. Coach for 10 years, get out of there.
Yeah. I was just reading about him actually, how he sort of adopted Daryl Stingley after he got paralyzed. He like rushed to the hospital after that game, and he realized that no one else was there, and he was so upset. He called the Patriots up and he said, "Come back." They were literally on the tarmac trying to fly away. Nobody even stopped to see Daryl. And John Madden called up the head coach and said, "Get back here," and then they did. And he even told I'm probably gonna say this wrong, Phil Via Piano, the Raider. Am I saying?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. He said he said John Madden said he's a Raider now, so we're gonna treat him like it. And so I just think that's speaks so strongly about his character. I don't know. How do you say it, Ryan? How do you say it?
No, I was just saying, don't worry about it. Just go ahead.
No, how do you say it?
Say via Pino. Is that what you said?
Via, yeah, something like that.
I had whatever way you said it is perfect for me, Julie. Villapiano?
Okay, so
Villapiano?
nobody else knows Phil's last name either. Okay, great. But he was one of the really fantastic Raider back in the day. And so anyway, I just thought that was a really, really cool story that he was so caring about someone. And the Patriots were so absent of humanity in that situation. So John Madden does it best all the time. Or did it best all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Madden is absolutely one of the greatest coaches of all time.
That is why he has the video game. And
A video game that's very stale. Yeah.
okay, but it wasn't always.
No.
But it's definitely past its prime now.
Yeah, but I mean, talk about being the name of the face attached to that. Like, oh my gosh. Well, gentlemen, I think this might just be the culmination of podcast 6.
I think that's it. The
I think
wrap.
that's it.
Yeah, we have some preseason games to go watch and some more people to roast, and we will be back on our tailgates next week for y'all.
Sounds good. Cut it and run it.
Let's go.
Ryan.
He perfected Kyle Hanahan.
Like Sierra's pregnancy shoot. It's like that. That's how he looked.
Oh.
Our biggest fan.